Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to Summer of Sport. This is a brand new BookTube event created by Mark at Book Time with Elvis, dedicated to sports literature, fiction and nonfiction, all throughout the summer. A nice, long, lazy summer where you can read about sports. A lot of you will not only be reading about sports, but attending them, maybe even participating in them. And yet, we don't talk about sports literature on BookTube as much as you would think, considering that it's very popular and sells lots of copies. So I am one of the co-hosts, and I am enthusiastically participating. Don't know if I'll make a video every single day for a summer-long event. That might be overdoing things just a bit. But I have been reading sports-related books. They have been novels. And they have put me firmly in the groove of the Amazon algorithm and locked me in place there. Not at first. The first one I read was Mr. Hockey, a hockey romance, a contemporary hockey romance, in which a sultry young librarian meets the man of her dreams, who is a hockey player, a sultry hockey player, and they have romance on and off the ice. And the algorithm saw that I read that all the way to the end. They don't have any way of knowing whether or not I liked it, but they read it all the way to the end. They saw that and started bombarding me with algorithm-chosen other romances that were heavy on the hockey, but they removed the sultry librarian and inserted another male sultry hockey star. And so, as several of you wags have pointed out, I have transformed Summer of Sport into the summer of gay hockey romance. That was not my intent at all. And it stops today. Today. I have realized that all the wishes in the world are not going to change the algorithm. It's still going to bully me unless I simply drop it. I have to put my foot down, and I am doing that today. So the next report I give you for Summer of Sport will not be a gay hockey romance, but this one is. I read Holly Meyer's book On Thin Ice. Once again, there should be a moratorium. Breaking the rules on thin ice, any pun on the word puck, should all be banned from these things. But especially on thin ice. I think for the hockey romance world, hockey romance is a booming little sub-niche. I have since learned. I've become something of an expert on this subject. And in the sub-niche of hockey romance, I'd say probably in the last 5 years, there have been 5,000 hockey romance novels written. Most of them self-published or indie-published on Kindle. And of those 5,000 romances, 4,888 of them have been called On Thin Ice, which is absurd. That is, I know these, I often deride fiction of any kind as being just incredibly lazy and derivative, but that's a parody level. That's parody level laziness. So this shouldn't be called that, but nevertheless, it is. And it is, it's a gay hockey romance. It's a little disturbing. In fact, maybe a lot disturbing. This is the story of Noah and Finn. Noah he's not old, but he's older. He's still sexy. But he is the, I don't know, the grand old man, a seasoned hand, so to speak, on his hockey team. When all of a sudden young Finn, a hotshot, joins the team. He is 10 years younger than Noah. He's a phenom. He's also unbelievably attractive. And at first, Noah would say that the fact that Finn is unbelievably attractive means nothing because Noah is not gay. Sure, he's thought about men in a sexual situation. He comforts himself that he has thought about men in that way because who wouldn't think about men that way in a locker room with a whole bunch of naked men? Of course you're going to think about them that way. And maybe he's done a little bit more than think, but that doesn't make him gay. So when Finn joins the team, Noah is overwhelmed with feelings like that and hates them. And takes it out on Finn. Is a jerk to Finn. Egregiously so. Much to the joy of a couple of other characters connected with the team who are just plain homophobes, whereas Noah, it's obvious, and it gets more obvious as the book goes on, is, if anything, he's something worse than a homophobe. He's a self-loathing, closeted gay man who refuses to acknowledge anything about himself. I can tell you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, from reading and from life, that those men are far more dangerous and far more destructive than simple homophobes. Those are the ones who kill people. The ones who absolutely don't want it to be true about themselves, either don't want to admit it or don't want it to be true, admit it but don't want it to be true. They're the ones who kill people. They're the Jeffrey Dahmers of the world. They're the Candyman of the world. And honestly, in these pages, I don't know what Holly Myers was going for, but in these pages, Noah does not read any different from some of the serial killers that I spent all spring reading about. Really, he doesn't read any different than them. When he is being mean to Finn, including some physical ways, if the next chapter had been him waiting for Finn outside the arena and killing him, or drugging him, taking him back home, torturing him, and then killing him, I wouldn't have been surprised at all. Noah would not have been stepping out of character to do that, which is that's pretty alarming when you're reading a romance novel and you're thinking, oh, okay, so I'm supposed to be at least partially rooting for this character. And the book goes on, and it's not long, and Finn is badly injured on the ice, and this changes Noah's mind completely. The fact that Finn survives changes his mind completely. The nearness that Noah comes to losing this person, he comes close enough to losing this person to push him to change his whole attitude, not only towards this person but towards himself. All in a hospital room. It's coming out of the closet ex machina. It doesn't convince at all. And even if that moment did convince, it would still be Noah. The guy who acted the way he does for 2/3 of this book, it's still him. I don't know. I don't know. I think I know what I was supposed to feel at the end of this book. I think I was supposed to feel, oh, thank God he's come around. But all I thought here was that Finn should not trust this guy at all. All that anger and resentment, all that acting out, that's not going anywhere. The psychological damage that is done to a man who does not believe that he's gay, does not want to believe that he's gay, hates other men for making him feel gay feelings, the psychological damage that results in that whole complex of denial and self-loathing, that doesn't go away just because your doctors say you're going to be okay. That doesn't go away. That stays. I don't know. This disappointed me because I thought that the author was going for a feel-good Hollywood moment without realizing that the book she herself had written precludes that kind of ending. Once again, like with so many of these novels that I've been reading recently, I felt like an opportunity was missed here. This could have, if Holly Myers had decided, okay, I don't want to call this On Thin Ice, obviously, and I don't necessarily want to market this for the, one-handed read in a brown paper bag indie romance crowd. I want to write, I've set up the conditions of this novel, and now I'm going to follow those conditions where they lead. I'm not going to impose a Hollywood ending on them. I'm going to follow where they lead. If she had decided to do that, not this kind of cover, obviously, not this title, this would have been a very different book and could have been a very good one. It had the building blocks to be a very good one. I'm not saying that Noah had to be a serial killer, but I don't think under any circumstances this book should have had a happy ending. And that, I guess, that is not what the market calls for, certainly. You couldn't do that. The market does not call for it. Holly Myers is probably one of those indie authors that does this more or less for a living. I don't think I've ever read anything else by this author, but she probably does this more or less for a living. So she is certainly not going to write that book. But I think she should. Or somebody should. Maybe somebody has. And I just don't know about it. And the key is, I'm not going to know about it. I'm not going to know about it because I am ignoring the algorithm for tonight's read. I am ignoring it completely. Because the only thing that's going to break me out of this M/M death spiral is me. So I'm going to break out of that spiral tonight. So my next scouting report for you for summer sport will not be a gay hockey romance. Okay? So I don't know what it will be, but it won't be that. So I'll wrap this up for now. We'll find out how the chips fall next time. Thank you, BookTube.